assessments as you have read, such as Clarity 4D, such as Positive Intelligence, but particularly Strength Finder. What I find interesting about Strength Finder is that a lot of assessment can tell you what is wrong with you, what is not working and all those kind of things. But Strength Finder focuses on what you are strong at and how can you then convert your talent into your strength through the investment of putting in the knowledge, the skills, and also the coaching. So back then is when I got into the issue of assessments and Strength Finder in particular. And I got very, very interested. And it has been a very interesting journey since then. I've enjoyed myself in terms of learning, even discovering myself, and also helping others live to their full potential.
Awesome, awesome. You just spoke eloquently about that journey. And I must say that journey must have been, in terms of time, you would have consumed time, you would have consumed energy and even financial resource. So I must say kudos, as you advance, in this segment, this knowledge industry, to impact people, particularly in the business segment. One of the things I also saw that was thrilling in your profile was the talk around you organizing the first MSME roundtable, and you brought business people in touch one-on-one with the president. You want to share a bit of that experience, please?
Yes, I want to. So for those who are familiar with my country, that is Kenya, we have something with the current government called the Big Four agenda, which is the 4 pillars that the government is looking at advancing, and prioritizing. We have housing, we have manufacturing, we have healthcare. And we had a meeting with SMEs. So the unit that I lead within the business school, part of the program part of the clients that we deal with is micro and small and medium enterprises. So we normally have several conferences with them throughout the year. And so when we had that conference with them in 2018, they were like, yes, we are talking about this grad thing of the Big Four agenda, but it is not trickling down to the common mwananchi. In my country, Taiwo, we call them Wanjiko. Wanjiko simply means the common mwananchi, not the elite, not the government, just the common mwananchi. And they were saying the effect of that and the business that comes from that Big Four agenda is not trickling down to that common mwananchi. And so we asked ourselves, what can we do in terms of enabling the sector, the SME sector? What can we be able to do to remove the barriers, the systemic barriers that are there? And that's when I actually wrote the concept for that event that went to the president. And the president actually honored us with coming to meet the SMEs. So we partnered with a local bank, and we were able to bring in about 800 micro and small enterprises together for a 2-day event. The first day, we put them together based on their sector. So we have those that are doing woodwork. We have those ones that are in the markets, they are selling the vegetables and all those kind of things. We put them together, and they were able to share issues and challenges that they are facing in that particular sector. Once they discussed that, they then appointed a representative from that group. So once they appointed a representative, the representative was tasked with the responsibility of putting out or presenting that information to the president. So we created proper PowerPoints, we helped them, and now the following day the president came. So each and every cluster, based on the sector they are in, had an opportunity to present the challenges that they had. And can I tell you one of the interesting things, Taiwo, that happened? The president had a speech. You know the way the president goes, and he has prepared a speech to share to the people. And he couldn't read his speech. He was like, wait a minute, is this what people are going through in this country in terms of trying to do business for the small and micro and medium enterprises? Is this what they are going through? I can't even read this speech. The only thing I can do is direct my team, that is the county government of Nairobi, plus the other ministries and parastatals, to actually address the issues that were raised during that particular meeting. A lot of things changed. And when you go to the markets, they can actually say there was a before Strathmore and after Strathmore. The before Strathmore, was when they would struggle to get the county officials, they would struggle to get the permits, they would struggle to get all this access to the government. But now those same people are looking for them. They were looking for the business people, asking them, what can we do for you? There was a serious transformation in the sector. A lot has been done. Markets have been built to enable these traders be able to actually establish, have a very nice place where they can have sanitation, just the common dignity, even before we go to the business. There's been reduction in electricity tariffs. So a lot has changed because of that intervention that we did. And so for us as a business school, it is something that we are very proud of, that we have been able to impact the sector and the society, because our mission as a university is we want to serve society. That's our mission as a university. So in so doing, we have been able to serve society, these traders, the business people, but also the people who are their customers. Yeah. So you can go in a market, it's a dignified market, and you don't have to feel like you're jumping over sewage or something that is not clean. It's a clean, neat, tidy market. So it was quite an experience, I must say. I think time fails me to tell you the entire story.
No, but I'm so elated because somehow this thing you've just narrated is some of the things that Strength Africa is also focused on in terms of deepening their awareness as to the critical role MSMEs play, in nation building, particularly with growth and development. And I must applaud you, for such audacious, feat, in the sense that you were able to identify the problems, you marshaled the resources, and you got them listening. We need to come and borrow a leaf from you. I'm sure by the time we're done with this meeting, we're also going to be talking about the Kenya Startup Summit, which we've had in Ghana, we've had in Nigeria, and all that. But yeah, let's just keep this discussion with strengths. Okay, we'll take that up. We'll take that up. So one of the things you also said, and a lot of people probably joining us today are wondering, hey, we thought we were here for a strength discussion. Okay, well, Wahito has confidently, been able to use our strengths, significantly to be able to achieve this quantum leap, or like we usually say, exponential results. And so when you hear her talk audacious, in this manner, it's not that, it's that it comes naturally to her because she also has discovered her strength. So let's just even talk around, your top 5 strengths. And then how have you used your strengths, okay, to be able to actively play your role currently as the, I think, Director Admin Services, all right, at the Strathmore Foremost Business School in East Africa. Please share your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Taiwo. And I think you actually said about my first strength, which is achiever. Yeah. If I go back to actually that event, the event that brought together 800 people was planned in under 2 weeks.
Whoa, 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was high pressure, but it was actually done. Between 2.5 weeks, we were able to actually do that. And that is where my strength comes in, because my number 1 strength is achiever. Yeah.
Achiever. Can someone type that out? Achiever. Yes. I have that as number 7 or so. Achiever. Whoa.
Yes, which falls in the theme of executing, So I can actually be able to execute something and execute it fast. I actually think I get tired and bored when something takes so long, it drags for so long. I think I get bored in the process. But if we are doing a high pressure something, we are actually able to run with it. I'm able to actually do that. And I believe that's where my strength comes in Achiever. There are people who can actually do very well in a very prolonged kind of a project. I don't do well there, I do well in where we need to get in, get things done, and get moving. The next strength is learner. And I love reading, I love reading. When you read the strength learner, it actually says the learners enjoy learning for the sake of learning, but there's also the issue of the outcome. So I read a lot, and I've given myself a target of reading 25 books in a year, meaning one book every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Wow.
In the midst of all that, I think both the learner and the achiever are combining there by giving myself a target that I'm moving and I'm actually able to move forward. So I study, I learn, and I think that's why I work in an education institution. It works well for my environment. So I'm the director for executive education, and this is where we have the training programs, training programs for corporate, for SME. So that being able to learn, to keep up with the trends is something that comes naturally and easily to me, and I enjoy it. And so that's why I'm able to actually do that. So even when you look at the different programs that I have done, even in terms of academic, I think I've enjoyed the journey. I trained as an accountant. I did a master's in strategic management. I'm not an accountant today. I'm not a practicing, but I trained as an accountant, even getting to the CPA, which is the highest level of CPA. But I think I enjoy myself along the way. Then there's the issue of intellection, which again closely related to learner. Enjoy that intellectual stimulation. Having
yes.
Yes, having an intellectual conversation, being able to study diverse topics, being able to study very broad topics, and actually being able to break down that content to somebody else. Yeah. And I believe our world today is actually looking for people who can do that, who can actually read and break it down to people, sort of chew it, and they can give people, and they can be able to process whatever is needed. The other strength is about responsibility, is that I will take personal responsibility for whatever I commit to do. So again, going back to that issue of the presidential event, I took personal responsibility. Yes, it was within an employment setup, from my employer, Strathmore University, but I took personal responsibility, and I felt it's a personal responsibility to make this succeed. And so I went all out. We came over the weekend, we came on Sunday, and we sort of carried through that, and we were able to complete. And the last one, the top 5, is a relator, being able to create relationships, build relationships. So we had, of course, a budget. If you're hosting 800 people, we don't have any room within the university that has that capacity. It means you need to bring in tents, bring in all those kind of things, and we needed to create relationship. And creating relationship, that's how we were able to bring in a local bank to sponsor the event. Yeah. And we're also able to bring in some of the service providers that also sponsored the event in kind. So creating that relationship, and also the people who are working, pulling together such an event needs a lot of hands. I can't do it alone. So pulling in all the hands that are required to actually carry out that event, I think that's where my relator strength comes in, and I can be able to create that trust, build that trust in people, and build that vision that we can actually be able to do this, even with the short time that it has been given. So for me, that's the way I have used my strength, and I've enjoyed myself because they come naturally along the way. Yeah.
Wow. You eloquently spoke through your strengths with an understanding. You also took us through on how you, at various times, using one of our audience comments last week or thereabout, you were using your strength, one strength at a time. I must say that's truly remarkable, and very few people can operate at that level. And I must say that is super. That's super. Now, yes, it's a strength discussion series. So if you're joining us, hey, you're on for a roller coaster, because we have our coach here, the coach of all coaches, also an educationist here in the studio. She's not other, we call her Wahito. And Wahito is such that she's also passionate about not just coaching. She's also gone around to understand various coaching methodologies and tools. So in one of our conversations, she said something, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that right now. She said that, hey, that a lot of people fail to understand that coaching really is a tool, all right, to closing the execution gap, okay? And not so much as to closing the skill gap. And I don't want to take words from her, but can you tell us what that means? And maybe someone might just learn something because you are there thinking, hey, but you're a coach, or I just got a coach. So can you get, better insights and throw in more light using that description?
Yeah, thank you. There's usually a lot of confusion between training, mentorship, coaching, all those kind of things. But in coaching, as I had mentioned there before, we use powerful questions to thought-provoke somebody in a creative process. Now, regardless of how powerful my questions are, you cannot get out of your head. I can't ask you questions and you learn how to become an accountant. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. If you do not know how to balance a balance sheet or to do a P&L, you cannot do that because I coached you to do that. And that's where training comes in. Yeah. So training is a tool to close a skills gap. So if I want to learn how to do a balance sheet, how to prepare a balance sheet, how to prepare a P&L, how to prepare a cash flow statement, or anything like that, I need to go to class and get trained. Coaching closes execution gap. Yeah, it closes execution gap. So but now you need to move from knowledge to action. So if I go to class and I'm trained how to prepare a balance sheet, but sometimes class, and this is where coaching is very powerful. Training sometimes can remain very superficial. Yeah, it has been shown that people retain about 10% of what they hear. How do you move that from 10% to at least 80%? It is where coaching comes in. Because then with coaching, you have already been imparted with the skills. The coach then walks with you through the journey of actually moving from knowledge to action. So going back to my example of balance sheet. So I have learned how to prepare a balance sheet. Yeah. And I come to my coach and I say, I know the skill theoretically, but I have not done it practically. And so we walk through that conversation. I ask you questions where the challenges are. We explore the solutions. And because you actually just need to get that aha moment, and you can actually be able to move from knowledge to action. And so that is the difference between coaching and training. And it is very important that you identify what exactly are you lacking. Is it skills? Then look for a trainer. That's where business schools are there and all those kind of things. Yeah, that's why I work in a business school. But is it an execution issue? Then now you look for a coach, and then they are able to help you with the journey. And allow me to finish that statement by saying that's what makes the combination of assessments and coaching very powerful. Yeah. If I ask you today, without doing the Strength Finder assessment, what are your strengths? Yeah, you can fumble around, and you might get one right or two right, but like an assessment like Strength Finder has a scientific way of showing you what are your top 5 strengths. In fact, what are all your 34 strengths, so you can actually see them. Now, with that knowledge, say, for example, myself as a learner, with that knowledge that I am a learner, the coach works with me to ask, how can we make this natural talent of a learner become a strength? How do we need to invest on it to actually make it a strength? So, and that's why it's important that you're able to combine assessments and coaching, and it works. I think it works wonders. It causes you to move from being ordinary to being exponential. So that's the difference between training and coaching.
Wow. So, I must say, this truly is phenomenal because, yes, I'm a coach, but and I started to see, based on our discussion the other day, I started to see how somehow you experience difficulty in coaching people. Okay. Yes, we know coaching is all about the difficult questions, having them to probe and think. But, you just answered a question I've been dealing with. And so there's something we talk about, the 6 steps to thinking. But you see, the raw material for thinking is what you addressed, knowledge. So whenever you have colleagues or people that say, I don't know, is that they fail to learn, because coaching cannot, replace the place of knowledge, and I think that's really very profound. I'm also going to inculcate that, look, if I want to take on a client, there's a bio they normally fill, but can I even know to the extent of what they know? And then maybe then we'll do the assessments, and then we're easily now able to ask the right question. And this individual is able to give some valid point. Now, just to corroborate what you're saying, so I usually do my reviews every other quarter. And one of the spillover was that I have to delve into, and so guys, if you've not done your strength test or you've not unlocked your 34 strengths, you need to do that. So when I unlocked my 34, I got this ton of documents. But you see, look, we read so much and we watch movies as to other people. We spend time, playing football or watching football or several other things. But do we even take time to even study ourselves? And there were a couple of things I saw there, particularly when I started to go to my action planning tool. Whoa, it was mind blowing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm repositioned for. See, as at 3 a.m. this morning, I was doling out a voice note. I said, hey, that's how to do it. But I'd have treated it differently if I did not even review my action planning tools. So I must say thank you for this illumination around the essence of knowledge. And what's knowledge? Is information. How do you get information? You as an achiever are destined to read books. So how do people, progress when they are not informed, either by reading books or listening to the right audios, or just even participating in discussions like this? Wow. You know what? This is a light bulb moment. Thank you. Now, let me go straight to one of those things that also interested me in some of those discussions, was around the positive intelligence. So can you tell us what positive intelligence is? I tried to read a bit on that. Can you also give us the linkages as to how you use positive intelligence and also using the Strength Finder tool, all right, assessment, to further coach individuals to unlocking their potentials?
Okay, thank you. So the positive intelligence is actually an assessment that was designed and developed by a faculty from Stanford University. And the reason he developed that is from a realization that all of us, we have a way with self-sabotage. So all of us are talented and gifted. I personally believe that it is true, that all of us are talented and gifted. The problem is we do not know our talents and how to make them strength. And also we self-sabotage, which sort of disconnects us from actually reaching to that exponential level. So positive intelligence assessment, when you do the assessment, you will get a report with 9 ways in which you sabotage yourself. They range from hyperachiever, hyper-rational, controller, stickler, victim, pleaser, all that. And then we have the 10th one, which is the judge. So the judge judges you, others, or circumstances. So say, for example, we are going through COVID situation. So your judge says it either blames you, you are not well prepared, or it blames the Chinese, they are the ones who created the COVID, or it blames your government, they haven't done enough, And once you do the judging, it then activates 1 or 2 or 3 of the other sabotage tools. And then you get into a cycle of fear, of shame, of non-creativity. So your brain has 2 parts. It has the positive intelligence side and it has the saboteurs, where you sabotage yourself, where the 9 saboteurs reside. Now, the 2 sides of the brain, they act mutually exclusive. Just to help you understand, if today, wherever you're seated, you see a lion, a lion comes to you, and what do? You will either do one of the 3 Fs. You either freeze, you're just frozen, you just wait to die, or you free, or you fight, if you believe you can fight a lion, So you either do one of those things. When you're doing one of those things, you can't actually think rationally and creatively. Your brain just focuses on doing one of those 3 things. Yeah. So the reason why, if you are constantly operating on the saboteur side, on the sabotage side, you're actually never going to grow. You're going to live mediocre life, you're going to live an average life, you're going to live all that. Now, the saboteurs are not weaknesses. Yeah, and even when we are discussing strength, we don't discuss weaknesses, we discuss blind spots. So saboteurs are not weaknesses, they are actually your strength utilized by your sabotage or the primitive side of the brain. So for example, we go back to my strength. My first strength is achiever. My number one saboteur is hyperachiever. What does that mean? It's that the saboteurs drive you through fear. Yeah. And so the fear of that I'm not going to be good enough, I'm not going to achieve this particular project takes me on an overdrive. And if I'm not aware of what is happening, it's actually, I can go to overdrive. And that's where you have people getting into mental health issues. Why? Because they are working more than 12, 13, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are on a hyperachiever drive mode, you know, because they have not gotten to a place of strengthening their positive intelligence side. If you look at my second strength, which is the learner, I also have a saboteur on the other side, which is the hyper-rational. Yeah? I want to rationalize things, look at things, you know, try to look the scientific way of looking at things. And sometimes you can derail things. And I think that's why I drive with short bursts kind of projects, because then I don't have the time to get into hyper-rational kind of a mood. So the strength plus the positive intelligence side, they come handy in handy, because your saboteurs are actually your strength used by your positive, your primitive side of the brain. So what do you do to ensure that you can actually unlock your potential? Is that you strengthen your positive intelligence brain. And we have 5 powers, the 5 sage powers. So on one side, you have 10 negative powers. On the other side, you have 5 sage powers, or the positive powers. One of them is empathy. The other one is innovation. The other one is exploration. The other one is navigation. And the other one is taking bold action. So at any given point, you need to be able to strengthen one of those 5 powers through various things. You have 3 muscles in your brain that you need to take charge of and be able to strengthen. You know, just like the way you go to the gym and you strengthen certain biceps and triceps and all those kind of things. So the 3 muscles that you need to strengthen, one is the interceptor muscle. So if we go back again to my example of achiever and then becoming hyperachiever on the sabotage side, I realized that I have gotten into the hyperachiever mood when I'm working 13 hours a day, when I'm not taking a break 7 days a week, you know, 52 weeks in a year. I get to realize that I'm actually getting into that hyperachiever mood. And so if I'm being tempted to work 13 hours a day, I catch myself, and that is the interceptor muscle. I catch myself and I say, there goes my hyperachiever that actually wants to work 13, 14 hours in a day. The second one is you strengthen your sage muscles. And how do you strengthen your sage muscles? By doing the self-command, commanding your mind such that your mind is not commanding you, it is you who is commanding it. And how do you practice self-command? How you practice self-command is just being able to notice everyday things, yeah, and utilizing your 5 senses. So for example, probably most of you have not heard me speak before, but even for somebody who has heard me speak before, they need to listen. If you can actually listen, you know, you don't just hear noise passing, but listen, hear some accent, hear the tone of my voice, and hear the way I'm pronouncing words. So you are slowing down your mind instead of just listening and, you know, passively. You are actually slowing down your mind and asking yourself, can I actually hear what she's saying? Yeah. And the other thing is to notice things. So like behind me, I have some wall hanging. You can actually notice, or even behind Taiwo, he has some wall hanging. You can actually just take some moment and actually notice something that you had not noticed. Like I've just noticed there are green stalks on those flowers. I had not noticed them. I was just seeing the orange flowers. So I have taken time to command my mind to actually focus on that particular wall hanging and see. Over time of practicing that, it helps you in your brain. You have, for those of us who grew up in the village, I'm hoping many of us grew up in the village. So if you have gone through a forest, you know, and people have passed through a certain path for some time, it forms a path. Assuming that was somebody's land and they come and fence it, over time, you will get grass and it will grow some vegetation and the path will atrophy. Yeah. So it is the same thing with your brain. So if you consistently practice self-command, you will strengthen your positive intelligence side, and your self-sabotage will weaken, just like that path. Once it is fenced, it atrophies over time. So over time, you will weaken this side that you don't want to use, and you will strengthen the other side. Now, the problem is we haven't learned those kind of things, yeah? So we consistently use the self-sabotage side, meaning we strengthen it, and this other side of the positive intelligence atrophies over time, yeah? And then the last muscle, I said there are 3 muscles. The last muscle is you use those opportunities to strengthen one of the 5 sage powers that I mentioned. And I can see Taiwo is putting them down. So which we have empathy, you have innovation, you have exploration, you have activate, and you're able to use that opportunity to strengthen. So like in empathy, you picture a child, yeah? You picture yourself as a child. So assume I have come to Taiwo's office, I'm annoying him, you know, I'm not done the right thing, maybe I report to him. He can actually choose to take that moment and picture the child in me. And once you picture the child in me, you will see somebody who is helpless, who needs help, who needs support, and you actually calm down, you know, you calm down from your anger and you're able to actually progress. So the tool is quite wide, but when you look at it, it has very good connection with Strength Finder, because you know your strength, but you also know that if you allow your primitive side of the brain to utilize your strength, it is going to become self-sabotage, yeah? So if it is something like the controller, which is one of the self-sabotage, is people who want to control everything. You know, they are perfectionists to extreme. They are good in doing their work. They need a clean work, tidy work. But when they get into the controller mode, they push it. They push the extreme and they drive people nuts, the people that are around them. So it's quite wide, Taiwo, but I've tried to do a bit of a summary and how it links with the Strength Finder.
You know, this positive intelligence program training, it also links, and I see the correlation, because when you start to talk about the controlling bit, where you can go into overdrive, when you start to talk about the achiever, where you can go into overdrive, with the strength philosophy, we're talking about blind spots, and you know, somehow these things I pointed to when the volume is high, you know, at every point in time. And I recall, because I also still sometimes just get into my sense and I say, hey, Taiwo, this is strategy talking. Hey, Taiwo, this is command in action. However, it's also always good to know when and how to deploy these things, because, for instance, I realized that command was in the state of when there's confusion or nobody's willing to take the lead, or where there's some form of apathy or lethargy, you know, amongst the team. You need to rein the team in, okay? And when there's no war, there's no need for the army, right? The army will just be practicing. So yeah, I get that point absolutely well. Do you want to talk slightly about the Clarity 4D, okay? And also how, you know, because for us at Strength Africa, and if you're joining us or you're watching this from any part of the world, you know, the Strength Discussion Series is brought to you every Thursday, essentially to equip you and inform you as to the ongoings around the strengths philosophy towards human development and capacity building. Now, one of the things that happens in this discussion series, so if you're joining, is that we bring several coaches from across different sectors and segments, and they're able to share their experience as to how they're using their strengths and playing to their strengths to achieve exponential results. Right now, we have coach all the way from Kenya. She's Wahito. Wahito or Wahito, as spelled, but it's Wahito, all right? And so, depending on the part of the world you are in, well, you could call it anyhow, but the name is spelled Wahito, but it's pronounced as Wahito. But yes, she's been giving us tons and tons of nuggets, beyond the nuggets, insights as to how to effectively, one, play understanding yourself, two, the difference between coaching and training, and how training is required to, you know, in terms of bridging the skill gap, and coaching is required to bridge the execution gap, or to close the execution gap. Right now, I'm asking her this question about the 4D clarity. or Clarity 4D. And I hope that she can throw more light into this methodology also. And let's tie it into strength, and then we'll go back into the world of strength proper. Thank you.
Okay. Even before I go to Clarity 4D, I just allow me to wrap up the positive intelligence on what you have mentioned about knowing when to step in. So I mentioned about the self-command muscle. Yeah. Self-command muscle. So just like people who go to the gym. Yeah. So if right now we are told now we are going to climb Mount Kenya. I'm not sure I know which is the tallest mountain in Nigeria, but we have Mount Kenya. So if we are told now, Taiwo, Wahito, you're going to climb Mount Kenya plus somebody else. Okay, I will struggle. Let me just be honest. You know, maybe I've not been doing very well in terms of keeping up with my physical exercises and all that. But for somebody who has actually been in the gym and has kept up with their physical exercises, they are agile, you know, they are flexible, and they can actually be able to climb the mountain. Yeah, it is the same thing with the positive intelligence. So with positive intelligence, it's a lifelong journey. You continually exercise your mind through that interceptor, through self-command. And with that, when problems come, you actually can easily plug in and you know how far to go, you know, because you have learned, you have taught yourself to command your mind, and it is not it commanding you. Yeah. So if there is something that happens in the workplace and it has gone wrong, I have learned over time to command my mind. And so I know, do I need to swing in like the army, you know, like a firefighter, or do I actually need to step back and allow people to actually help me, you know, with continuous exercise of that self-command. So it is important, just like you don't practice, you don't go to the gym 1 month and then you say, I've gotten into shape, I'm leaving. You go to the gym forever, you know, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. You exercise. Even if it's not the gym, if it's just running on the roadside, you do it forever because it's a lifestyle. You want to keep fit for the rest of your life. So if you want to keep mentally fit, you have to continue exercising the self-command muscle. So going to the Clarity 4D, Clarity 4D is a personality profiling tool. Yeah. And it was brought into place by Carl Huang, and about looking at the different personalities. Of course, over time, it has been improved, you know, and it has grown. So the personalities, it categorizes people into 4 different personalities. Yeah. So of course, there's a tool that categorizes people as choleric, melancholic, phlegmatic, and sanguine. But for Clarity 4D, it categorizes people as red, as blue, as yellow, and as green. Yeah. So the red ones are the people who are action oriented. So like I'm in the red, and that's why I think one of my strengths is achiever. So all these things, you see how they are related. Yeah, you can see how they are interlinked. They are not contradicting each other. So Clarity 4D, so you have the red, they are action oriented, and they are on the go. Then you have the blue people. The blue people are the people who are very meticulous in terms of details. Yeah, they form a lot of the accountant because they are comfortable with details, with just a lot of details. Those are the blue people. You have the green people who are people-centric. Yeah. So if there is, if we are deciding to fire people for whatever reason, we are not making the bottom line good. This person, if the person is green, they are going to actually ask, have we considered maybe what is going to happen to the families? The red person most probably will be saying, hiya, let's go, let's move. You know, we need to, we need to save our bottom line. We are letting go 10 points, fine, it's okay. But the green person will be asking, no, let's stop and think, is there a better way of doing this? You know, and then of course you have the yellow people, or what the other profiles would call sanguine, and they are the people who are bringing life, you know, they sort of bring joy and happiness and that kind of relationship. What I love about Clarity 4D, because it also gives you, it's a very comprehensive document, it's about 22 pages. So it gives you what are your strengths. Yeah, it will give you a different place, how you work well, but it will also give you the blind spots. Yeah, what are your blind spots? It will also give you information in terms of how can you communicate with the other colors. So if I'm a red, how do I communicate with somebody who is a blue? You know, the blue wants details. I cannot just give a one-line instruction. I need to be able to give them more detail, you know. If I am communicating with a green, I need to tone down my aggression, you know, and actually come to them in a language that is friendly, you know, that is friendly and it's not so loud. And then if I'm talking to a yellow person, I need probably to bring in the fun into the entire process. So it enables you be able to clearly understand yourself, clearly understand the rest of the team, and be able to know how to communicate. So whenever we have done this with teams, we have been able to see, and they have been able to see, why do we have conflict within the team? So maybe the boss is a red and she has a lot of green people in the team. And so her directives are just received the wrong way, you know, and she's not saying it in a wrong way. In her heart, she's not meaning bad, but it is coming out bad because of the orientation of the other person. So in Clarity 4D, what I love again about Clarity 4D, it does not categorize somebody in one particular area. It says your strong area, then your number 2, your number 3, and your number 4. What does that mean? Is that naturally, the number 1, that's the way you act. But when circumstances require, then you are able to actually operate from the rest of the, we call them villages, because we want to bring it into the African context. So we call it the red village, the blue village, the green village, the yellow village. So I am naturally from the red village, but when needed, I can actually operate from the green village. It is going to take a bit effort on my side, but I can actually move to the green village and actually be able to operate. So they work very well with a strength finder, because based on where my primary colors are, you can see that's where my strength will be. So for example, from Clarity 4D, my primary color is red, goes back to the achiever. My second color is blue, you know, goes back to the learner, you know, a bit kind of a detailed kind of way of looking at things. My weakest color is green, yeah, and you can see, even when you look at my themes, influencing, I'm very poor in influencing. It's low. My influencing is low, which is exactly the same as what Clarity 4D is saying. So all these tools are very interlinked, and it is good to also use all of them so that then you can be able to know yourself from different angles and to see how you can be able to utilize them in terms of getting to that place of exponential potential of what you have.
Awesome, awesome. Ah, wow. You know, so I quickly glossed through the strengths colors, and I realized that for Clarity D, that talked about the guy that seems to be more persuasive, using green. Unlike the strengths, you know, the talent finder or the Clifton strengths, or Gallup strengths, as we call it, has green for strategic thinking. Then has purple for executing. I think orange for influencing, and blue or light blue for relationship building. So almost like the Clarity 4D, we also have some type of arrangement like that in with the Gallup or the strengths philosophy. Well, that's great illumination, you know, and you were just talking to me, and you know, I'm also able to line it up with the, you know, the melancholic, the sanguine, you know, all such personality types. So, you know, we hear about all of these personality tests, these assessments here and there, you know, but one of the things that, and I don't know if you have a common understanding of this or, you know, agree with me, is that there's a peculiar, you know, uniqueness of the Gallup strengths finder. You want to share a bit about that? You know, if not, then I will share my own thoughts. Okay. What would you define as the most distinctive, you know, advantage of the Gallup strengths?
I believe that the combination of your strength, your top 5 strength, is you become, it's very rare to find that same combination in any other person. So if I look at Clarity 4D, if I'm going to do an assessment for 30 people in a room, you will get so many people in the red category, so many people in the category, you know. But my combination of 5 strength is, it makes me a rare gem, you know.
It drills down.
Yeah, it drills down to me, and that's what I find very powerful about Strength Finder. Because even if you're to do that same assessment for a group of 30 people, it's very unlikely that you're going to find somebody with microbiation. Very unlikely.
Very unlikely. 1 in 33 million, right?
Yeah, so and I think that goes to, the way they say, I'm not scientific, so I just believe what I'm told, that our fingerprints are unique.
Yes, unique,
so
yeah.
Even if you are a twin brother, twin sister, you can't have the same fingerprints. So
absolutely, I'm a twin, but we have different specs, all right?
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the Strength Finder unique, such that even if you're to do that same assessment with your twin, it cannot be the same combination. So for me, that's what I find unique.
Oh, and that's just what I wanted to point out, because I've done several tests, and it was when I settled down with the strength test that I said, whoa, so most of the tests are kind of generic. They put you in a box. So, but nothing truly speaks to you as to you. You can only say, okay, I've even done the DISC test where I had, I said, oh, this is how I am, this is where I am. But it did not bring down to the specifics as to, hey, but that's one of the advantages of the strength test. So if you've not done the strength test, hey, guys, I'm sure my team, they dropped the link in the bio. Yeah, we have a few people in here, and it'll be nice to just have you just share your thoughts about your excitement. I'm going to be unmuting you now. For those in the Zoom room, yes, you're going to be able to speak. So I'm just allowing you, just drop your comments or ask your questions. So I have Eri joining us. Eri, you want to unmute and tell us where you're joining us from? Oh, okay. Yeah, while Eri is getting ready, there's Oroditse. Oroditse, I've given you the permission to unmute. Please unmute yourself and let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a powerful information that we are getting from here. I'm so excited. I'm learning a lot of stuff from here between coaching and training, because I'm a big fan of personal development and growth. So every day is learning from me. So with the colors, I think I'm in the red village because I'm a go-getter. I am results oriented. So most of the time when I want to do some task, maybe with other people, after giving them the details, but they just feel, they get so slow. I don't have the patience to wait for them. I eventually get the work done all alone. So I think that is my weakness, but I want to do the strength test. I really, really need it, because right now I'm doing network marketing. I have a team that I always want to bring joy and excitement and happiness in them. And some of them are so silent, so reserved. But network marketing is all about touching and selling your products to the people. So I really, really know how I should just help them to be to come to that level where I want them to be. Because at the end of the day, we all of us have to win and just be good, feel good, and get to where we want to see ourselves. Yes, that's all that I can say. I mean, for the second color is yellow. I bring joy and happiness. Then the green, then the blue is the last one. But I am at Red Village. I want things done. And I really, really want things done.
I'm curious to know what your strength profile will be. And don't worry, once you do the test, I'm sure you have a better appreciation of all the discussions we'll be having. Eri, do you want to speak right now? I have Eri, Ifejesu, Olu Adeni. Olu Adeni, please come on, ask your question. We have you as a regular here. Yeah, it's always good to have you here. Yeah, is there Joanna? So questions, comments, questions. Well, it will amaze you that we spent almost an hour discussing strength. And somehow I didn't even realize that an hour just almost breezed by. It just shows you the depth of insight, all right, that was being shared. I can't even thank you honestly enough, Wahito, for this great insights you dropped. And I'm going to go and watch the replay. So for those that have missed any bit of this, there's the replay on YouTube. You could easily always get that on Strength Africa. And, look, tell someone, because what we realize is that by the time you become more aware of yourself, you are better able to become aware of the others. And in becoming aware of others, you just can just give them space. Okay. So don't go on that journey trying to change. One of the greatest struggles I had, maybe I should just drop this, is wanting to try to, replicate myself in people. But I soon realized that, hey, I always experience a brick wall. So one of the things I'll try to do is see how I can use their own strengths for my own awareness to be able to achieve the key results. And I'm sure that aligns with you. Technical, do you want to put the details of Lady Wahito, or the Coach Wahito, as we call her, up on the screen? And just so that in case you probably want more insight, she's going to be one of our resource persons on a lot of other fronts. She's an educationist, and we're also going to be using her, not in that derogatory term, but we're going to be having her guide us on some of the ways to play in the Kenya market. Okay, I have Ife Jesu. Yes, she has a question. Ife Jesu, you want to ask your question, please?
Okay, I don't have a question, but I just want to talk and contribute. Thank you so much, Ms. Eddah, Wahito, Munyi. It's been so nice having you. I've taken my strength test, so I am definitely in the blue and orange area, and I can see that we have a strength in common, relator, and I'm so glad to have you. It's been very insightful. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. And that's in Ife Jesu, And so look, why are we not taking your strength test? Take it. So contact Lady Wahito, all right, or Wahito if you are Kenyan. From West Africa we call it Wahito, and I'm sure the Indians will have different pronunciations for that. But she's there. Her details are there. You can follow her on Instagram, follow her on LinkedIn. Our website is there. If also you want to get some business insights, go to Strathmore University Business School. They're the foremost in East Africa. They're doing a lot of things with Nigeria, even with Lagos Business School. So, hey, who says you can't touch base there? And I think that's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I almost don't want to end this session because it's almost turned to a personal coaching session. But I'll let us now close. Let us now close because we're nearing. And so, Coach, tell us in your last words or a closing statement. What words are you leaving? All right, to the audience. What is our take home from you this afternoon or evening or morning, wherever you are in a part of the world?
Okay. So maybe before I say the last words, there was a question, where is my activator, from Ronel. So my activator is number 25. I think it's quite far. I'm not sure why you are curious about activator, but it's number 25 on my list. So it's not even on my top 10.
Ronel, is Ronel here? I'm surprised. Maybe she dropped in at some point. All right, good. Okay.
Yes. So my last words is, I want to encourage you to actually do the Strength Finder assessment. And my reasoning is very simple. As Taiwo mentioned, for me, my goal, or what I believe is my assignment in this world, is to help people unlock their potential. And I believe everybody has potential. The problem is we do not know how to actually unlock that. Like when we used to learn about kinetic energy and all those kind of things in school. So the problem is we do not know how to unlock that potential. And the only way to unlock that potential is to know what are you naturally good at. And the problem with the African schools, and I was talking to Taiwo and he told me it is the same with Nigeria. I thought it is unique to Kenya. The problem with our education system is, if today I am a good math student and I'm an average English student, what is going to happen is that I'm going to be told to put so much effort on English so that I can become better. But regardless of how much effort I put in getting better in English, I'm only going to move marginally, towards becoming better. If I was to utilize that same energy on my maths, which I'm already good at, I'm going to get to the exponential level. And so it is important to know what are you naturally good at, invest in it, and that is when it's going to become a strength. Yeah. Once you already invest in it, whether you invest in it in reading, whether you're going to invest in it attending events like this, you're going to invest in it in the YouTube. There's a lot of content that is out there that you don't even need to pay. You can just put on your earphones as you travel, as you commute. And in Africa, we have the advantage of traffic jams. So that means you can attend an entire university degree in traffic. So you can actually get to YouTube, get a lot of materials, learn, and embrace learning. My last words is, there's something called disjointed learning theory. Disjointed learning theory versus perpetuating learning theory. Perpetuating learning theory is only studying things you agree with. Yeah. So if you believe that the world is round, you want to only read something that agrees with you that the world is round. If you believe the world is round and you embrace the disjointed learning theory, you actually want to study people who actually say the world is a square or a rectangle or something. What the benefit of embracing disjointed learning theory is, because you get various ideas, and with that, you're able to form your own original thought. If you're only reading and studying what you believe in, you're never going to come up with an original thought. Yeah. Whoa. So you have to embrace disjointed learning.
Disjointed learning.
One of the things I've been reading is, what is the problem with the SMART goal setting? I have learned about SMART goal setting since I was in school. Yeah. But I'm embracing learning from people who say it doesn't work. Not because I agree with them, I don't necessarily agree with them, but when I read, coupled with what I have read before about SMART goal setting, I can come up with my own original idea. You will never come up with an original idea if only you're reading that which you agree with. Yeah,
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Read widely with things that you don't even agree with, and you will come up with an original idea. You will become exponential. Thank you, Taiwo.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. And those last minute words, it was actually a master class of some sort. So one of the things you talked about is time, as to how to use time. And I was joking with some of my colleagues earlier on today. Yeah, the labor law says spend an hour every day, but if you truly check how much you spend eating, it could turn up to years wasted, when you could actually channel it into some productive effort. The other thing you talked about, the orientation around learning, as to, hey, you can decide that, hey, I'm a Christian and this is where it ends, all right? But you could decide that, hey, okay, can I even understand this whole thing and draw the semblances and, the correlation to better improve yourself? As to, why do people become vegetarians? Because that's one of the areas I'm also evolving into. I'm not making it radical, but I'm going to morph into that in a few months or a year or so, where I can easily now say, hey, I'm on green completely. But the reality is that it's from a point of knowing. So the third thing also you started to talk about, you differentiated also within a second between strengths, all right, and skills. You thought that, hey, can we also see how we can develop our skills, okay, so that we can be the best at what we can be by learning and learning. And if there's something else I remembered, you talked about reading insights, reading, feeding yourself. And as a learner, I quite agree with you. You could learn in several ways, either whilst you read, whilst you walk, whilst you watch. Even observing your environment is also a learning process. Coach, I can't thank you enough. Somehow my notes literally would have been full, but you've shared so many things. I have to go and watch the replay because I couldn't just even jot enough things down. So I'm sorry to disappoint you. I didn't jot as much as other discussions, but because you've stuffed me with so much that I have to go and watch this again and listen subsequently to all that was shared. And I'm sure everybody that joined us today has a similar feeling. And you see, that's why you must always come up on the Strength Discussion Series. This is free, and it also just enlightens you and brightens you to being the best and claiming an exponential or extraordinary life. Coach, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart and from the team. It's been a journey, and somehow you are here on the 21st episode of the Strength Discussion Series. So yeah, tune in next week. We hope that you would also join us with one also of Africa's remarkable coaches. And this, let me let it out, he is going to be sharing with us on a few other things around nuances, around proclivities, and around even stereotyping. And I'm sure we're able to take this further. And on this note, I'd like to say thank you, audience. Thank you for always showing up. Please share if you can. Let people know we're onto something great, and they can develop themselves and their team to achieve greater results. On the count of 5, I'm going to be shutting down this room, and I say 5, 4, 3, 2,